All right, this is the weekly webinar for the week of January 25th, 2016. First, I want to start off by looking at the indices. First thing I want you to understand is that most of the indices are showing bullish reversal hammer candles. I have the weekly chart pulled up, so I'm going to flip through just about 4 indices. So first you see I have SPY. Okay. Now this, once again, this is a weekly chart. All right, pushed all the way back on up. QQQ, same thing. Okay, right there, nice hammer candle. IWM, the Russell, same thing, hammer candle on the weekly. DIA, same thing, hammer candle on the weekly. Okay, with that said, I'm looking for a little bit more upside this week. Okay, now how long that lasts, I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller, so I can't predict that. But we did get reversal candles this week. So with that said, I'm going to jump right on into the SPY chart. Oh, also let me show you SPX. Okay. Same thing on the SPX. Got a reversal candle as well. Okay. So I'm going to go back to SPY and start with that one first. Take this back to the daily. Okay. Now, in my notes for SPY, I'm looking for resistance. Now, this is based on if we push higher. Okay. I'm looking for resistance at 192. Okay. I do have these fib levels on some of my charts as well, but I just like to draw straight levels sometimes, and I like the round numbers. So with SPY, I'm watching for resistance at 192. If the market starts to show a little weakness, if SPY breaks under 190, I like SPY for a short. I would like to see us get some really nice bounces in the indices or the market as a whole before it does come back down. But SPY did well Friday. It was up 3.83, so up a couple of percent. So I really like that. So that's my take on SPY. SPX. Sorry. Now in chat on Friday, Kevin was calling SPX a lot, different levels. So really pay attention to the man. He really likes to call those and calls them quite well. Look at this big candle that we have in the SPX. Okay, for the SPX, sorry, I'm time stamping all my tickers. For the SPX, you can see where I have the fib levels drawn, but I'm watching the 1920 level if we push higher. Okay, which is right there, which is actually the close. Yeah, that's the close of that candle. What was that? It looks like that was like back on Monday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. No, that was last Friday, not this past Friday, but the Friday before. So that's the close of that candle right there, 1920. If it breaks 1920, my next target would be 1935 to 1940. Okay, so those are my levels on the SPX. Watching for a push to 1920. If it breaks 1920, next stop will be 1935 to 1940. And if you get to 1945, guess what we have? We have a 50% retracement resistance along with the 21 EMA. And so that's going to be key for me. So I'll be watching those levels in the SBUX, as we like to call them. Okay. On the right side, the big chart, I have the daily. On the left side, I like to keep the weekly, just for reference. Okay. And the futures just opened, I do believe. Sorry. Yeah, they did. And as you can see, if you watch, it's going to keep moving. So I'm on the NQ, the NASDAQ, the E-mini NASDAQ, which is the one that I like to scout for futures. Already pushing a little bit, little Momo carried over from Friday. Okay. about to hit this 38% retracement to 42.58. My next target, just because of the range on the NASDAQ, I'm looking for 4,300. Okay, I'm looking for 4,300 right there. As you can see, that's the top of this wick right here. 4,300 is a nice round level. You break 4,300, pushing higher. Next stop that I have for my targets are 43.42, which is also the 50% retracement. Okay, so 4,300, which is the wick of this candle right here. Next stop, 50% retracement, 43.42. Okay, those are my levels that I'm looking for. I would also expect to find some resistance right there because that's also the 21 EMA. But if we take a look at the weekly, oh, I mean, I wasn't talking about it necessarily gapping. I mean, just from now and then when the market opens tomorrow, if we get a nice green day, I mean, it's nothing for NQ to run 100 points. I mean, it does 40, 50 points all day long. If you look, let me see something. So I'm going to put my cursor on this candle right here, just to give you an idea of the range. The low was 40.85. Wait a minute. Yeah, the low was 40.85 and the high was 41.92. So that's a little bit over 100 points on that day. Okay. You take Friday, the low was 41.19, the high was 42.53. So what's that? 134 points. Okay. I know I'm not the best with math unless it's money, but still. So NQ can make a 100-point move easily. All right, but just even on a slow day, it's 50, 60 points. That's one reason I really like trading. Okay, so that's my take on NQ. All right, jumping off into the tickers, and oh, one other thing. We still seem to have a little bit of a correlation with crude. Okay, now I'll be glad when this correlation is over. I would like for the market to do its own thing and let crude do its thing. But anyway, crude pushed on Friday about like 6% or something like that. It was a lot. Yeah, the low was 29.53, and that thing ran almost almost $3. Okay, that was the range on it. It was like 280 something. So that was a big range on crude. Crude just took off, in which I'm going to come back to Halliburton, Baker Hughes, who has earnings this week if I'm correct, and also Schlumberger. All right, so keep your eyes on crude. I kind of let you know what the market wants to do as long as that correlation is going. But hopefully, like I said, that correlation will be over soon is what I hope for. All right, tickers I'm going into. I'm just going to go right through my list. This first one is BIDU. The thing about BIDU, I don't like the way it basically, in my view, gave up everything on Friday. Okay, I'm going to show you the daily, and then I'm going to take you back to a 15-minute chart and just show you what that ticker did. Okay, disregard my notes down here because I had that from a while back, actually. So with my fib work, you can see that it touched this resistance right here to 50%. Okay, it bounced off the 618 days prior, broke through it, but then came on back up, and so it seems like it hit its head right there at that 50%. So what I'm looking for on BIDU is, if I get any signs of weakness out of BIDU, I think it's a potential short. And this is just from an intraday scalping standpoint. Gets over that, that 174. Let's see, that's too far off. Let me get a little closer on this chart. Okay, now this is Friday. You can see BIDU basically opened up right there at that 50%. Hey man, it just gave up everything. It didn't. I mean, it rallied a little bit coming back towards the very last few minutes of the day, but you had a lot of buying pressure right there at the end. So I basically want to see if BIDU can push a little bit, and a lot of times I don't like to pay attention to these wicks right here at the end of the day, because that's like settling between market makers or whatever you want to call it. So hence you get that. So I'm pretty much looking at this level right here where it actually closed, which is the 171.17. I don't really have any other levels on this one. I basically would like to see this basically get over 171.50 before I decide if it might push a little bit longer. But when I look at the daily, I feel like BIDU wants to come on back down. I don't know. It does run a little bit with Google, but with all the news in China and Google's going back into China, BIDU's catching some competition. So that's just my take on BIDU. I'd be looking for this one on the intraday as a short. The thing gets under 171, maybe, especially if it gets down to 170. But I'd hate to miss some of that. Then I'd be really looking for this one on the short side. That's just my take on BIDU. Next, Verizon. These next the next three tickers I'm all bullish on. Okay, Verizon. That was the 5-minute chart of what it did on Friday. I mean, out the gate, it just kept going. Let me take you back to the daily. Evidently, the earnings must have been good, okay, or the sentiment in the market, okay. Verizon, I'm actually looking for Verizon as a continuation, and I want to see it get over 47.23, which is only a few cents away. Get over 47.23. That's some pretty good resistance. You do have some more resistance up here in the 48.30 area, but let's see what she does going forward. The one thing about this, when they've had that many up days like that, if the market goes red, that could be a nice scalp on a pullback. Okay, it would be normal for that one to really pull back. You've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up days in a row. So sitting right there at resistance, I got this one on my radar. If it acts like it can't get over that, I'm looking at this one as a short and might even swing it for a day or two. So that's my take on Verizon. The next one is KHC. Okay, KHC looks similar to Verizon. See this resistance right here? All right. Once again, I'm looking to see if this thing can break resistance or if it wants to pull back. I actually love these type of charts right here for the simple fact that if this one doesn't break the resistance and the market is red, it turns out to be a very nice play. Okay, so once again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up days, sitting pretty much right at resistance. Watch it to see if it bangs its head right there and pulls back. That's KHC. Good old Craft. The next one, FRC, First Republic Bank. So, the thing about FRC is that all the moving averages are curling back up. Now, I actually like this one to continue to run. Okay, as you can see, it's come back up through all moving averages. I mean, fib lines. Okay, the moving averages are curling back up. Okay, the next stop for resistance. The next stop for resistance is 67.59. Okay, basically it's just called it 67.50. Okay, that's another $1.50 from where it's at right now. Intraday options, that would be a nice little piece of change. Okay, so that's FRC. Like this one for continuation to keep on running a little higher. Next stop for resistance, 67.50 is where I have my level drawn. The next one is Exxon. A lot of people like to scalp some of the techs like Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, Google. Sometimes I like to. Oil has the oil stocks have been pretty good for scalping as well. Exxon, I just watch it with crude, period. Okay, crude rallies, Exxon rallies. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The thing moved $2.50 on Friday. Just watch this one with crude. I can't say I like it to go higher or I like it to go lower. I like it to move with the price of oil. Crude goes down, I like Exxon to go down. Crude goes up, I like Exxon to go up, period. So for an intraday scalping option, I really like this one. I'm going to take you back to the hourly on this one. The other thing is Exxon has earnings on the 2nd of February, so in a little over a week. I think that might be a Monday. I'm not sure. I have to look at my calendar. Levels, as you can see, pretty much at a little bit of resistance. If it pushes, I have to look at the hourly on this one. I like it to come up into that 78 range, get through 78, probably can fill this gap through here, push on up to 79 or 80. Okay, so that's my take on Exxon. Next one is Starbucks. I'm really intrigued by Starbucks. It's one stock that I really like to play a lot. I'm going to take you back to the daily. Starbucks had its earnings. Now I'm going to have to show you something on the hourly. It had its earnings. It dipped down a lot. And then the next morning, it went on to gain it back. And then you have another green candle on Friday. Even though the company lowered guidance, it seems like the market still likes Starbucks. Okay, that's just my take on it. I'm going to show you something on the weekly as well. Sorry. So right here, like I said, let me see. I don't have extended hours turned on. I don't have the extended hours turned on, but if I turn that on, you'll see the big dip that Starbucks made. And actually, you can see it down here. So Starbucks closed up here, all right, at basically 59.17 or something like that, close to a 59. It opened the next morning down at like 57.50. Okay, if you take the hourly, the thing just ran right on back up, and so it's back up to where it was. Get a little market participation. I like Starbucks to keep right on pushing. Okay, so you're basically sitting at some resistance on the hourly. What are we? 59.17. Probably can get on back up in here. I like this to push on up to 60. After 60, maybe retest this 61.40 level. Okay. I'm not a fan of Starbucks company, but I do like the company itself and the way it runs its business. Anyway, that's my take on Starbucks. I like that one to the long side. The other thing, if you look over here to the right, you got a reversal candle on the weekly. Big, long hammer candle right there. Okay, I like for that sucker just to keep right on pushing. Some of my other indicators are showing that it might push a little higher as well. Okay, so that's my take on Starbucks. Oh, something else I wrote in my notes, Starbucks can start buying back their stock right now. I think they were either able to do, I think, I have to check my notes, but I think they can start buying back either Monday or Wednesday. IBM, which I'm going to get to, already can buy back their stock. So watch IBM for a little bit of a pop, but I'm just going to go write down my list of notes on stocks. Facebook, been a real good runner the last 2 trading days. On the weekly, you got a reversal as well. If you look over there to the left, it got over a retracement level. So my next stop on Facebook, especially if it starts to run, is basically the 100 level, which is a psychological level, and that's also a 50% retracement on the fib work. And that 50 and that 618, they really work well, at least for me. Okay, so as you can see, this fast MACD is curling back up. Like I said, got back over this, got over this wick right here. The 80 EMA is starting to curl back up. 50% is a little bit above the 21 EMA. So they've also got earnings. Wait a minute. That's 25th. Earnings on Wednesday. So I wouldn't be swinging this, but Facebook might make a little run tomorrow and Tuesday. Wednesday, for me, it's out of play. I don't really mess with them on the day of earnings because they get kind of wild. Okay, so I like Facebook to the long side to push towards 100 and then maybe bang its head and come back down. All right, the next one, love the company, but the stock is being a dog right now, is Netflix. Netflix didn't participate in anything. I want to give a shout out to Mike G, because he said in pre-market, he said, you know, Netflix, if it acts weak, that's my play. And then a lot of us went ahead and played it, even though some of us probably already were intending to play it anyway. But Netflix was a gold mine on Friday. And if you look at the daily, Netflix looks like it still wants to keep coming down. Now, it gapped, I'm not going to say gapped. After its earnings, it shot up 10%. But then we had a huge red day the next day, so it gave up everything. Then there's also been some other negative news out on Netflix, so that might just be the hedge funds trying to beat it down so they can get some at a low price and then run it back up with a bunch of upgrades. That's what I feel like they're going to do. But in the short term, for the next 3 or 4 days or whatever, I actually like Netflix to maybe come on down a little bit more. Let me flip this back to the hourly. Yeah, I mean, that thing is just sitting right there at the bottom. Okay. If Netflix, for me, Netflix over and under 100, get under 100, you know where it could go. I think it hit 98, 97 easily. It's not uncommon for Netflix to make a $3 move. So over and under 100, stay above 100. That thing could be a nice pop to the long side, but if it gets under 100, Netflix is going to get ugly again. So that's my take on Netflix. Yeah, and it also looks bad on the weekly. The next one, which I just mentioned, is IBM. So IBM had a gap down on its earnings. The weekly on the left side of the screen looks like garbage. I thought IBM they could start their buyback this past trading day, which was Friday. What IBM does sometimes is that because its trend is down, it will bust a move down, then it might pop, and then it'll continue its trend again. So that's pretty much what Netflix has done. And you can see that quite often. Right here, gaps down, comes on down a couple of days, consolidates, boom, pops, continues this trend. Pops, continues this trend. It's just an ongoing cycle. I wish it would pop a little bit more so I can get short again. But I mean, it just looks bad. It looks like a nice short on all pops. Netflix is sitting at 122.50. I'm sorry, IBM, sorry. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the 15-minute chart for the last 3 trading days, I mean, it's just garbage. And where it's sitting right here, it can easily just come on back down. So, let me see something. Yeah, this one might pop a little bit more, but I think if it pops a little bit, you might get a buck or two, and then it's coming on back down. IBM to me looks like a good candidate for a swing short as well. Sell some premium against it. So that's my take on IBM. Next is a request that I had. Twitter. The dog of the tech and social media stocks. So, let me show you guys something. And I do this a lot, okay? So, when you see these green days right here, especially this day, this was a rumor about Google taking over. No, it was Time Warner, I believe. I think the past rumor was Google. But there's been twice rumors of a takeover on Twitter. So this old crappy stock just, it pops on the news, and it pops the second day a little bit, and then guess what happens? People find out the doggone news is fake. So what they say, buy the rumor, sell the news. Here, we bought the rumor. Right there, people selling the news. Okay, out of all that, the market was up nice on Friday, and Twitter's up a penny. Okay, Twitter's about to be a penny stock under the classification. Okay, now I will say this, that's a social media stock that a lot of people use. I do feel like it will get taken over, but that's in the long term. In the short term, man, this thing's a short for me. Okay, it's actually on my list for tomorrow. Okay, the thing shows me any darn weakness tomorrow. I'm telling y'all right now, I'm going to short Twitter, because here we are. It was down here at this low. I mean, that's a lot of range for me. This thing is dead in the water to me again. Okay, I'm not a fan of Twitter. I actually hate Twitter. I only use it because I need to sometimes. But oh, and the other thing was, I posted this on my Twitter account. 2 other execs left today. I don't know where I posted it, but I posted it. Anyway, you can find the news, but 2 other executives left Twitter. It was announced over the weekend, so that's going to be another bit of negative news for them. When the execs keep leaving like that, that's like, you know, the company's going in the ground, blah blah blah. So anyway, long story short, Twitter is a short in my view. Didn't participate on Friday. Still ended up the 8 EMA. You know, many times that's happened. So Twitter for me, #1 on my list tomorrow for a short, along with a few others. Next is Amazon. Amazon put in one hell of a day on Friday. If you look at it on the weekly, on the left side, you got a nice candle there. Bounced off that 3rd moving average, which was pretty much some support. If you look at the crosshairs going back over here, that was pretty much some good support. I do like Amazon to keep on pushing. Earnings on the 28th, so on Thursday. Yeah, Amazon has earnings on the Thursday. So, I mean, this one's only in play for me for a day or two. After that, I kind of just leave it alone during earnings and play it after earnings. Especially with all the market turmoil, you don't know what's going to happen from day to day. But I do like Amazon for continuation. And those are all the tickers I have right now. I'm about to show you something on some options activity. Okay, guys, you see me toss options activity sometimes in the chat with big buyers or sweepers, stuff like that. I'm just gonna show you about 4 of them and what I think about them. So I'm gonna pull up this chart, ABBV. Actually, I'm not even gonna pay attention to the weekly right now. Well, yeah, I will pay attention to the weekly. I'll just leave that like it was. Alright. ABBV. Okay? Watch this. ABBV had a buyer of about 13,500 calls on the offer. These were the February 1661 calls. Now, I liken that to an earnings play by a hedge fund or something, okay? Because their earnings are Friday, all right? To me, when somebody does that, that's somebody gambling. Well, I'm not going to say gambling. For me, it's gambling. But that's somebody betting on an earnings beat because they bought those on the offer. And I'm going to show you how you can see that. So, yeah, I've got ABBV pulled up. All right. So I'm going to scroll down to the options time and sales. Now, if you look at ABBV, look at the volume, okay? You had 36.3 thousand calls versus 8.6 thousand puts. But here's where you see this at. Come on, think slow. There it is right there, okay? On Friday at 3:36 in the afternoon, somebody bought the February 2, 2016, 61 calls, 13,522. They bought them at 95, so they hit the bid, man. They hit it right there on the top. Okay, so that's a nice size bet going to the upside. All right, that wasn't a spread or anything, because if it's a spread or a buy right, it shows up over here to the right. Okay, now that's just something that if you're playing earnings, you know, sometimes. Oh, one thing, yay Broncos, yay Broncos. Man, I'm glad Brady got beat. Sorry, that's a side note. Anyway, that's where you'll see that stuff on the side. But if you're playing earnings, whether it be like an iron condor or whatever strategy you decide to use, when you see this stuff, sometimes it may help you skew your earnings play one way or the other, meaning you might go slightly to the bullish or you might go slightly to the bearish side. But right now, this looks like somebody's making a big bet on ABBV beating earnings and the stock going up. So just watch that. That's on the 29th, and just remember that I tried to show you that. So that's one of them on the unusual options activity. Another one, TIF. This one was heavy on the 57.5 puts. Okay, that thing looks horrible. Okay, I mean, it just fell off a cliff. Okay, and looks like it's doing the same thing again. Okay, so it came down, slight consolidation, boom, fell again. Looks like we're going slight consolidation, and the thing might fall again. And this is Tiffany. I mean, it's already been beat down, and then Macy's is terrible too. So that's in retail. So I wouldn't be surprised if that thing keeps going down. So I'm watching the options activity and really trying to get a good feel for where some of this stuff may go. I'll pull this one back up. Man, look at this. See this volume right here? You got basically 1,000 calls, but then you have a 16,000 puts. They don't like this thing. Look at that right there. The 5750s. But there's one problem with this that I should have already had in my notes. I didn't look at this before I started the webinar. Somebody sold those. Okay, so they're actually bullish on that in a way. They're bullish on Tiffany's. Okay, so I guess somebody's actually expecting this one to pop, but when it's in red like that, that means they sold them. They didn't buy them. Okay, so that's Tiffany's. I've got two more, and that'll be it. I think I threw this one out in chat, which is WWAV, White Wave Foods and Company. This one had almost 3,000 calls. It's the April calls on the offer for $220. So that's the April 3750 calls. Looks like, you know, they may be counting on the earnings as well, but I mean, it is kind of beat down. But to me, they might be just holding that through the earnings or something. But once again, the way you can see that, lots of calls on Friday, very few puts, at least so far as volume traded. And there you go. These were bought. As you can see, that was the bid ask, 215 by 220. They paid 220 for them, 29.75. Okay, 3750 calls on WWAV. If I remove that, okay, had a very nice day on Friday. Okay. And my last ticker, called this one, well, I didn't call it, man, I just posted the options activity on this one as well. CIEN, it was a lower price stock, but the thing, when those calls were moving, I'm going to go back to a 5-minute chart, or even, well, yeah, let me go to the 5-minute. This is when those calls popped somewhere around in here early in the morning, and that thing just flew right on up, then it pulled back, and basically just went sideways for the rest of the day. But those of you with scanners, you can do it in your platforms. You can scan for this type of activity, and those are really quick, man. I mean, I get in those sometimes and I'm out within like 10-15 minutes. Okay, anywhere from a quick 10, sometimes 50% gain, and you're gone. Okay, and just leave it alone for the rest of the day. So that was CIEN. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing that like Spanish. CIEN. You had lots of call volume versus the put volume. Sorry. And there it is. The March 16th, 18 calls. This person bought 3,189 and hit it right on the bid. Okay, at 123. That was a good sign. And you can see right here in the time of sales, you got a lot of buying going on. But I mean, as well as the puts too. But that was the big thing. That's what we call unusual options activity compared to what it normally does. Okay. And last but not least, I'm going to go back. Just to leave you with a caption of what's going on right now, because the futures opened right when we started at 6 o'clock, which they always do in the evening. Yes, right above the 1900 level, up a couple of points right now. Looks like the high was 1904.25. So keep those futures on watch, man. They let you know what the market is going to do sometimes. Anyway, that's all I have. Are there any questions or anything right now? If not, this will be rendered and will be posted up very soon. All right. Good luck and happy trading. See you guys in chat tomorrow. Take care. Peace.